Hi everyone, welcome back to our 4-H garden kit and following along with us with the plants through the season. So at this point, we're going to talk about our tomatoes, and the tomatoes have grown quite a bit. They have flowers, even they have some small fruit on them, but we really need to think about trellising them. And trellising is just a method of keeping the tomatoes upright so that they don't flop over. If they flop over on the ground, then you can get disease issues, you can get rotten fruit. So keeping them upright and growing just produces a much healthier plant and more tomatoes for you. So when we trellis in a pot, we have a couple of different options, but the one that we're going to use and show you today is pretty easy. It's just using some 4-foot bamboo stakes. These are dried, and we pick these up at a garden center. They sell them at most garden centers around. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 of these in. And how we're going to do it is we're just going to go out about 3 or 4 inches from the stem, and we're going to push that down into the soil, all the way down to the bottom of the pot. And I gave it a little bit of a slant there. I'm gonna push that one down. So that's what we have. And the reason why I put 2, now you can do this with 1, and you could just tie the tomatoes straight to the stake. And I'll show you that method here. So along with our stakes, we're gonna be using some scissors, and we're also gonna be using some twine. This can be cotton twine, it can be natural materials. You can also use synthetic materials. The natural materials, the great thing about them is they'll just rot when you go to compost your plants or things like that at the end of the season. You don't have to worry so much about getting this twine out. So if you just have 1 stake, then basically what you would want to do is tie a little loop around your stem. But you don't want to tighten it down. You want to leave some room there. And the reason why you're leaving some room is because the stem's going to continue to grow, and you don't want that twine to cut into the stem and restrict any flow of nutrients and water flowing up the plant. So then when you got your little loop on your plant, then all you're going to do is take the other end of your string and tie it to your stake. And that will help keep your plant upright as it grows. And as it gets fruit on it, that's going to, the weight of that fruit's going to want to make the plant flop over. So this is going to be a support for the plant. Now there's another way that you can do this with 2 stakes, and it's a little bit different, or you can use a combination of these. But here's a little bit larger plant here, and you can see this one really started to flop over. And so I was a little bit late in trellising it, so it had already started to flop. So if your plant is at that point, don't worry. All you gotta do is put in your stakes the same way we showed you, and then lift it up and get it supported there, and then give it a couple of days and the plant will start to grow back upright. But then if you want to use another method of kind of containing all of these stems, you see all these stems that are starting to grow out, then what you can do is you can take your twine and cut you a pretty long piece. And then you can come in and you can tie your twine to one of your posts. Then you kind of take it around, and you want to make sure that you get your twine under the stems that you want to stand up. And once you get to the post, go around the post once so it bites on itself. And then you're going to want to come around the plant and catch all of the stems that are trying to flop over back to the place where you first tied. And then you're just going to go around and tie back to the stake. And now you have a circle of twine that's connected to your stakes, holding your plant up. And that's really handy when you have a lot of stems and clusters of fruit on your plant that are wanting to flop out and break the stems on your plant or flop it over onto the ground. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at there. And as the plant grows, you can put another string on up above your first one. So this is what you'll be looking at doing this week with your tomato plants. All right, so we've talked about how to trellis tomatoes in pots, and those tomatoes already had some size on them. But if you're starting from a small plant like this one here, then a good option for trellising your tomatoes could be tomato cages. And these are just metal wire that's been formed into a cylinder there. And all you have to do is put that over your plant and push it down. And that's really, you just want to train your plant to grow up through these rings. But this is a smaller tomato cage. For larger tomatoes, they make larger cages, or you can make larger cages. But if you just have a handful of plants, this is really a good way to trellis your tomatoes and keep them up off the ground.